Stephan Media. This episode we'll be talking about the Diddy sentencing. All right, we're going to see what happened with there, what he's going to be sentenced, what's going to happen for his future. Also, make sure you stick around for Stephan. He's going to have a bag check episode once again. Hopefully, once again, his behavior is on point this time, but we'll see how Steph is. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, here we go. So we're about to check out this reporting right quick. So let's go.
A federal judge handed down a sentence in the high-profile Sean Diddy Combs trial. The rapper was convicted on federal prostitution charges back in July. Let's go right now to Fox News.
Prostitution charges for Diddy.
National correspondent CB Cotton outside of the courthouse. CB?
Hey, Will, yeah, the judge moments ago sentencing Sean Diddy Combs to 4 years behind bars, telling the court he took into consideration that Diddy was self-made, someone who lifted up others, supported his family. He noted that Diddy did a lot of this while even battling addiction, but he said he had to consider all of the rapper's history. And he said that, specifically, he said, quote, "A history of good works can't wash away the record."
Do y'all think 4 years was enough? What are y'all thinking about that? I've seen mixed emotions on that, but what are you all opinions on that right there? Put it in the comments what you think. But you have to remember, you cannot take the Cassie video into account. Don't think about that. It's about something else. All right, don't get it confused.
Pointed out that two of Diddy's accusers and former girlfriends, Cassie Ventura and a woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane, he talked about their testimony specifically. The judge pointing out that after Diddy publicly apologized for the leaked video of him assaulting Cassie, that Diddy assaulted his current girlfriend, Jane. And this sentence handed down 4 years behind bars for Sean Diddy Combs. It comes after Diddy pleaded for mercy, stood up and addressed the judge inside the courtroom. In a shaken voice, he apologized to Cassie Ventura. He apologized to that former girlfriend, again known as Jane. And he said he was sorry to all other victims of domestic violence. Diddy called his own behavior disgusting, shameful, and sick. And he said it cost him his career, his reputation.
Yeah, cost him everything. Diddy was that dude, like, what, 5-10 years ago. The clothes I had Diddy, I had Sean John apparel. His cologne, Unforgiven, was dope. In fact, that I have we'll talk about that some other time. But anyway, yeah, he was that dude, man. He had everything: clothes, music, fragrances, reputation, the parties. Don't mention the parties. But he had everything, man. And then he got, you know what? I probably shouldn't say this right, but his downfall was what? What was his one downfall? Mind you, he was definitely wrong, but he was considered untouchable. But what took him down? A goddamn female. Well, I ain't say that.
And his family. He also then turned in the courtroom to his children and apologized for letting them down, saying that he had not been the father they deserved. And he really pleaded with the judge to give him another chance. But again, ultimately, Will, we now know that the disgraced media mogul, who was once at the height of the music industry, has now been sentenced to 4 years behind bars. The judge said that any of Diddy's past good works could not overstate the record in this case. The witness testimony from women who said they had to endure years of physical and emotional abuse at the hands of the rapper. Will, I want to send it back over to you.
Quick follow-up, CB. The prosecution was looking for anywhere around 11 years, and the defense team for Diddy was looking for something like 14 months. As you mentioned, it came back at 4 years. Was there any visible reaction by Combs in the courtroom when he was handed down that sentence?
Right now, I'm still waiting to get some more details about the reaction that we saw from both sides inside the courtroom. But Will, I do want to point out that the judge said that the requests being made on both ends, he said they were not reasonable requests. And I think that determination on his part ultimately led him to hand down that sentence. I'm looking at my producer who is about to hand me a note in a matter of moments. But right now, we know this sentence has just been handed down from the judge. 4 years behind bars. Like you mentioned, defense attorneys.
I think that's good enough. So he was sentenced to 4 years, 2 months in prison. All right, I think they said it was like 50 months, I believe. 50 months. So I guess that's a good outcome for him, especially since he was facing a lot more than that. But what do you think about that, though? What do you think about that? And it's based off prostitution charges. Like I said, don't get it confused with the video we seen of him. You know what I'm talking about. That was a horrible. It was. Yeah, that video was. Yeah, one with him, Cassie. You know. But don't get that confused with his sentencing. All right, so let's check this out right here. So these are some of the headlines. What we know about the case. A judge sentenced Diddy Combs to 50 months in prison, fined from $500,000, and ordered 5 years of supervised release. Before he was sentenced, Combs addressed the judge, begging for mercy and apologizing for sick actions. Prosecutors had pushed for more than 11 years, while the defense sought 14 months, which would have an equal time served. Since Combs has been in custody since September 2024, he will receive credit for over a year already served. A jury acquitted Combs for racketeering, sex trafficking charges on July 2nd, but convicted him on 2 lesser counts of transporting former girlfriends for prostitution. Okay, I'll read this and now move on. Attorneys for Diddy said they have a strong basis to appeal the judge's sentence, which they described as unconstitutional. Speaking to reporters outside the courthouse, defense attorney Mark, I'm not going to try to say that name, Judge Aaron Subramanian, used the word coercion at least a dozen times during today's sentencing hearing, even though the jury found there was no coercion. We think that's unconstitutional, he said. We think a jury's verdict should mean more. Speaking outside the courthouse, Manhattan Courthouse attorney Gloria Allred called Judge Aaron Subramanian very thoughtful and said Combs has to pay the price for what he did, which was transporting prostitutes. Apparently, that's it. Not the Cassie beating. All right. Once again, let's keep those two things separated. Allred says she represents alleged victims of Combs who were concerned he might walk free by the end of the year. I think they'll be happy he'll be in prison for a number of years, she said. So the reason why I want to make it a point that you do not confuse the Cassie video with this, because it's two unrelated things, right? She cannot sue him for that because they already settled for that, right? In fact, in my opinion, I don't see how she's able to even testify, right? Because she was already paid for that. You know, that's when everything came out, right? He should have been smart and paid her off rip when the lawyer reached out to him, and he didn't pay it any mind. He did not do anything, and 48 hours later, that's when the video came out and all of that. Then he changed his tune, so that was definitely his fault. Well, all of this is his fault, but once again, let's keep them separated as far as his charges versus what we see or what we believe. We believe he's on trial for beating Cassie. That's not it. All right. So the same thing, it keeps happening, right? The same thing happened with the R. Kelly trial, right? You know, we thought that he was on trial for, for the underage sex. It wasn't it. They had him like kidnapping charges or something like that, whatever, right? But if you keep seeing R. Kelly underage girls, that's what you're gonna believe. Same way with Bill Cosby, right? We think he was in jail for the 40 women that accused him of whatever. That wasn't the case. It was one person who sued him. He lost that. But if you look at what the media and the news show you, you're gonna believe he's in jail or on trial for all of those women who accused him. That was not it. It was one person who, we'll break that down in another video. Okay, so I decided to do this right here. So since he's in jail since Diddy was found guilty for the prostitution charges, right? A lot of people online were saying stuff like, "Oh, so that means we can't fly girls out anymore if we have sex with them?" Except I can't pay for my girlfriend's flight ticket. Okay, so I decided to ask ChatGPT a couple questions. All right, you may find this entertaining, but let's see. Okay, so I said, I asked, with the Diddy sentence, does that mean I can't pay for my girlfriend plane ticket? Does that mean I can end up in jail if we have intercourse? Chat says, good question. It's important to clear this up because a lot of people are confused by headlines like Diddy's. No, you will not go to jail for paying for your girlfriend's plane ticket or being intimate with her. Here's the difference. What Diddy was charged with wasn't about normal relationships or helping someone travel. It involved organized prostitution, coercion, and money laundering, not consensual relationships between adults. Remember that part though, because that's gonna come up again. Paying for someone's flight, hotel dinner, or trip, even if you're in a relationship, is not illegal as long as there's no business exchange for sex, no sex for money or favors arrangement. Okay, so the next question I asked was, because I'm not done yet. So I asked, so if she wasn't my girlfriend and I met her online and we hadn't met face to face, if I then pay for the plane ticket and we had intercourse after a nice date, would I then get locked up like Eddie Murphy and Martin in Life? Chat says good reference, but no, you wouldn't get life for that, and here's why. If you meet someone online, fly them out, go on a date, and later have consensual sex, that is not illegal, even if you pay for the flight, dinner, or hotel. Here's the distinction: legal, paying for travel or gifts with no explicit agreement, that sex is part of the deal, okay? That's legal. Illegal, if there's an explicit exchange like, I'll fly you out if you have sex with me, or I'll pay you $1,000 for the weekend, that becomes prostitution / solicitation, even if phrased casually. So I'll read this. The law focuses on intent and agreement, not whether money was spent in general. So as long as it's mutual, consensual, adult situation, non-transactional, you're in the clear. So I asked one more question, just one more. So what I asked was, so if she asked me to pay for the ticket, and if I tell her I'm not paying if we aren't gonna have intercourse, if she agrees and says, yes, we can have intercourse if we're getting along with each other, will I then be locked up like Akon? That's getting legally risky, I bet. That's getting legally risky territory, and I can't give you personal legal advice, but here's the clear general rule. If sex is part of the condition for payment, even if casually phrased, that can be interpreted as solicitation or prostitution, depending on your state or country's laws. Even if both parties agree in this just between you two, the intent, I'll pay for this if we have sex, creates a transactional exchange, and that's what the law prohibits. Damn. What's legal? Offering to pay for someone's flight just to meet, with no mention of sex or expectations. What's illegal? What's illegal or risky? Making sex a condition of payment, or suggesting the payment is in exchange for sex, even with consent. God dang, this is something. If you genuinely like someone, pay for the trip because you want to spend time with each other. If something happens naturally, fine, but don't tie it to money, gifts, or favors in words or texts. Wow. Take that. Wow. Take that. Okay, so guys, you better start trading carefully, because this is worded very, I don't know, it's worded kind of funny. All right, and he was just locked up for this very thing right here. And you know, we are growing around here, right? We're all growing around here. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have told a female, take that, or the opposite sex, that, hey, I'm not doing that if we're not having sex. And if y'all have that fun that night, according to this right here, you could potentially get locked up or be charged. All right. So yeah, what do y'all make of this? Because he just got locked up for this very thing right here. All right. I mean, granted, it was on a much larger scale than, you know, just casually meeting somebody across the internet or whatever. But nevertheless, he got locked up for something that a lot of guys has definitely done before. A lot of guys have done this very thing right here, you know. But nevertheless, we just started trading careful like everything else. The world is getting quite tricky nowadays. That's it for my Diddy take. All right, that's it for that. But once again, I'm going to follow this case, see if anything else happens in the coming days. But this episode is not over yet. We're about to get to the next episode of Bag Check with Stephan. All right, so he's going to be on his best behavior once again. Fingers crossed. All right, so without further ado, Steph, let's take it away. All right, y'all. Peace out. Stephan from Stephan Media. This is another episode of Bag Check. And on this episode, I'll be showing you how the stock market only goes up over time. All right. To illustrate this concept, I'll be using the trading platform called Webull. Webull, Webull. All right, Webull. I'll be using the charts on Webull to illustrate this idea or concept. So we're gonna get to the charts. All right. So to show you this, I'm using the ETF called QQQ. All right, explain to you what an ETF is on a couple episodes ago. So, but just to give you a brief idea of what it is 500 top companies within the US. Okay, it's called a weighted ETF. It has the most popular companies in there, like Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Microsoft, etc. Okay, they all have different percentages. All right. So today there was a massive drop in the stock market. Why? Because the stock market is extremely emotional, very emotional. Okay, what I mean by that is news can send it either running up in a positive direction or dropping significantly due to news. Today, President Trump said they're going to impose 100% tariff on China. Okay, when that news was spread or when that news was given out, the stock market tumbled. The QQQs right here dropped 3% or $21 in one day. Just to show you what that is. So these candles represent one day. So this is today, as you see down here, it's a date right here. So it went from a high of 611 down to 589.05. Okay, that's a pretty significant drop for one day. To show you how significant that was, we took away the gains for this week. Okay, so you see the dates at the bottom of the screen right here, right around this area. So on the 3rd, well, just to look at it, right, the stock market completely swallowed these gains for the week or losses for the week. In fact, we went back to this day right here, 925. It hasn't been that low since then. Okay, but like I said, this is to show you how the stock market only goes up. All right, so although there will be turmoil or ups and downs in the short term, in the long term, it only goes up. So, like I said, all of these candles represent one day. All right, one day. So, just to show you how far back it goes, I'm gonna go back a little bit. Now, each of these candles represent 1 week. Okay, so like this candle right here, this rep 1 week. But we're gonna go back. All right, how far back want to go? Let's see. So this date right here, right? I wanted to show you where the market was at, or where the QQQs was at on January 1. So this is January 3rd. And so the QQQs was at 514.72 over there. And by the end of that day, it was at 503.90. So as you see, on January 1, the QQQs was at 503 to 514. And as of right now, even though the market dropped today, there was been a significant gain for the year up to as high as 5. The high has been 613. Okay, so that's very, very good. But let's go back even further. So as you see, there's been dips this year. Okay, dips, and then it went up significantly. All right, it's gonna be dangerous, or it's gonna be I guess tension or turmoil in the short term, right? Whether it's up or down, right? But the further back you stand, or the further back you view it, you see is only one direction. As look at this right here, one direction. See this? There's ups and downs, ups and downs, but overall it's only going up. So let's go back even further, okay? The last time we had a really big unexpected drop was COVID. So this is COVID. This is March, this February 14th of the high. And then when COVID information came out, it dropped. So this is March, my bad. This is February 2021. And this is March 13th. So there was a drop from 229.83. You see that on the right side over there? 229.83 all the way down to 160. That's a pretty significant drop. Okay, the COVID news came out of people had COVID, etc. You remember everybody was talking about how bad the stock market was and how they're losing money, their 401ks losing money, etc. Okay, pretty significant drop from, once again, from February 21 to March 20th to the 22nd. Pretty significant drop. But after that drop, the market ran up, as you see. So it didn't take it long to regain those gains back, because this date right here is June. So June 5th, it was back where it was at before the drop. You see that? All right, because it was back at 229.83. And then by the end of the year, which is this area right here, by the end of the year, it was at 304.77. So in spite of this massive drop, by the end of the year, well, even 3 months later, it was back where it was previously at. Then by the end of the year, it was back at all-time highs again. Okay, and as you see, although there is pain in the short term, but long term, as you see, it's only one direction. Because once again, if you even go back further, now these candles represents a month. Each candle is a month, all right? So look at this. This goes back to 2013. As you see, the Qs was at $70. So how would you like that, to have multiple shares of that, to have those same shares be worth $613 today, well, $589 after the drop? Like I said, the drop was painful, but I can guarantee, there's no guarantees in life, but I can guarantee that they will be back above that fairly soon. Whether it's week, 2 weeks, etc. It depends on how long the bad news lasts. Like I mentioned before, the stock market is very emotional. News can send in either one way or the other. I'll get into that in a later episode as well, dictating how the news can make an impact on the stock market. All right, I'll talk about that some other time. But this was a very quick and to the point segment. I hope you enjoyed it. I think I've been on my good behavior, but it probably won't last long because I do have things to do. All right, so do me a favor once again, like, comment, and subscribe. We have a lot more things to come. Stephan from Stephan Media. We're out once again. Goodbye.